So metrics. Now in this video, we're basically going to go over what metrics are in a nutshell and what do we want to look for. Okay, what do you want to look for and what each metric basically means. Not the definition of it, but what it actually means on your ad and on the success of the ad. So first of all, these are the metrics that you want to look out for. Okay, these are the golden metrics that basically the ones that will decide if you should continue an ad, if you should scale an ad, and so on and so on. So first of all, we got the CPC link. Now the CPC link is, if you don't know, it's the cost per link click. How much you're spending per a link click. Okay, not a click on the ad, but a link click. So if somebody clicks on your ad and it gets directed off of Facebook, that's a link click. Okay, how much you're paying per link click. Then you have the purchase, which is of course how many purchases you got from that ad. The cost per purchase, how much you're paying for that purchase. An add to cart, a cost per add to cart, a CPM. Now the CPM is how much you're paying per 1,000 impressions. This is a very underrated metric and we'll go over that as well in a second. We got the leads, of course, and the cost per leads if you're doing a lead generation or you're not selling anything and you just want to gather emails. And we got any other custom conversions. Okay, because everyone has their own custom conversions. You're tracking your own results. I'm tracking my own results. I'm not even tracking purchases, adds to carts, or leads. I'm tracking custom conversions, which out of them we have purchases and leads. And we got the CPE, and I put that in like stars because the CPE is something that really doesn't give you a lot of information, but it is the first step of knowing if your ad is even remotely good. Okay, so first and foremost, we got the CPC link, how much you pay per link click. Now the link clicks is basically the first metric that tells you if people are even remotely interested in your product. Okay, this is the first thing that you'll see, if people even care about your product. Okay, now a high CPC means people don't really care about the offer. Okay, a high CPC meaning that you're paying a lot more than you're expecting for a link click means that people don't really care about the offer. They can engage a lot with your ad, but if they don't click the link, it basically means that they're not interested in the actual product. Okay, now a low CPC means that people actually want to know more about the product, right? Because them seeing your ad and them actually clicking the link and being redirected off Facebook to your website, what does that mean? It means that they actually saw interest in your product. They saw potential in it. They actually maybe either want to buy it or maybe want to learn more about it, right? So a low CPC is the first step into having a successful ad. A high CPC, ads with high CPCs, with high link clicks are basically, there's no reason even to continue with them. Now, I can't give you a metric. I can't tell you that anything over $50 is high or anything below $50 is low because it's different from business to business. Okay, some businesses, $2 CPCs are really good for them, and some businesses, $2 CPCs is extremely bad. So I cannot give you a reason. I can't give you a specific number that will tell you if this is a high CPC or if this is a low CPC. It really depends on what you're selling, right? But the more you do ads, the more you see how much your conversions are, how much it's worth, the more you'll know how much a CPC is actually worth to you. I will give you some standard benchmarks in a second, so you kind of have an understanding. But like I said, this is really different from business to business, okay? So high CPC meaning really people don't care about the offer. They saw the ad, they didn't decide to click the link, meaning that it didn't interest them enough. So high CPC usually means either a bad product, okay, or about targeting or ad. I assume, okay, that you're targeting pretty good because targeting in Facebook isn't that complicated. So I'm assuming your targeting is pretty good. So it's either like, of course, if you're targeting bad and you don't know it, it can be that as well. But I'm assuming, for example, that your targeting might be okay. As long as you're targeting the right interests, that's good targeting. That's okay targeting. So if you still have high CPC, then either people aren't interested in the product or your ad copy is bad. Okay, it's one of the both. Okay, sometimes The product is, you gave it an amazing ad copy, you really invested in the ad copy, but the product is just not, people don't care about the product. So people don't care about going into a website and learning more about it. Now, a low CPC, but no purchase means two things. Okay, it means either a bad sales page or junk traffic. Now, bad sales page can mean a lot of things. You have to first of all understand what the person is experiencing once he arrives in your website. Okay, 1 second, let me take a sip of coffee. So, what a person is experiencing on your website is what determines if he'll buy the product or not. Because the first step is for your customer to arrive on your website. Once the customer is on your website, from there on, it's basically your acts and your website will decide if he will buy. Because he's on your sales page. If he doesn't buy, because he did click on the link, which means he is interested in what's going on with this product. But if he didn't buy, it means that the landing page that's the fault. So that can be a lot of things. That can be on that the ad and the landing page weren't aligned, which I see a lot sometimes. And by not aligned, I mean that the landing page said something, and the ad said something, and the landing page showed something else. And it can be very simple as the ad showing a product, an image of a product, let's say a shirt, and that shirt is green. But on the landing page, it might be the same shirt, but this time it's white. That's an unalignment between the ad and the landing page. So really make sure that there is 100% alignment, okay, and relevancy between the ad and the landing page. Whatever the person expects on the ad, when he clicks it, he should expect that on the landing page as well. It's really important that there's no strings attached or really anything that can make him being confused. So if he clicks the product, clicks on an ad, and then instead of let's say you advertise a product, and instead of you bringing him to that product page, you bring him to your website, to your, let's say your storefront, that's an unalignment of the ad and the landing page. You want to make sure that your ad and the landing page is aligned. Okay, if you are advertising a product, make sure that he arrives on that product. If you're advertising 30% off on that product, make sure that when he arrives on your page, there's a 30% off. Not a 40% off, not a 50% off, a 30% off. These things are really important because every change that happens on the landing page that wasn't written on the ad is a bit weird for the customer. Even if sometimes it even doesn't happen consciously, just like subtle things that make the customer eventually go out of your website. Okay. Now, other than the CPC, we have of course the purchase and the cost per purchase, and of course the purchase will be the determining factor if you're profitable, and really nothing else matters. Oh wait, before I go to the purchase, I actually wanted to give you a bit of a understanding of what's considered a high CPC and what's considered a low CPC, so you kind of understand. But like I said, it really depends on your product, and the more you do ads, the more you're gonna see how much a CPC is worth to you. Because eventually, a very expensive product, let's say if you're selling a $100 product, a $2 CPC, a $3 CPC isn't that bad. Okay, but if you're selling a $15 product, then any CPC above $1 will be considered pretty bad. So think about it this way. Any products that you're selling between $10 to $30, you really want to aim on anything below $1. Okay, $1 CPC is still on the high end, but anything below $1 is reasonable. Okay, anything below $0.50 is pretty good. Okay, but the more the investment is big, the more you can spend more money on link clicks, because the more you're making, the more of a return on investment that you will eventually make. So for example, I have my lead generation, right? I have my lead generation websites where I'm basically getting traffic for so people sign up to my email list. Now I'm paying something like $1 for a lead, $1.20 for a lead, something like that. And $1.20 for a lead, if I'm getting link clicks below $0.50, then I'm good. Anything above $0.50, I'll still be okay with that, but it's not as good. Okay. If I would have paid $2 for a lead, then my CPC would be high as well, because it's not, with landing pages, with lead generation, it's a bit different, because it's not only about how much you're paying for a link click, it's about how converting your landing page is. So my landing page is about on 60% conversion rates. Okay, so if if I'm not getting any leads, it's not only about if I'm paying, if you should always look at your conversion page as well, how much you're converting at, right? So in e-commerce, it can go anywhere from 1% to 8%. Like I said before, I have stores that were converting at literally only 0.5%. Okay, 1 out of 200 people would buy, and I had stores where we are standing on 8%. But on the 0.5%, it was more expensive products. We were able to afford that, and on the 8%, it was more cheap products. So it basically made sense, right? So purchase, cost per purchase. Now, of course, the purchase will be the determining factor. So basically, if you're profitable, really nothing else matters. I don't really need to put too much emphasis on the purchase because this is eventually your end goal. So as long as you are profitable, as long as you're making more money than what you're losing, that's what's important. Okay. Now, add to cart and cost per add to cart is basically a sign. Okay. Add to cart is a sign of a potential product. So saying add to carts on your ad means people have been interested in maybe buying, unless it's a free plus shipping. Okay, if your product is a free plus shipping, then don't listen to what I'm saying here, because when you're selling a free plus shipping product, you'll have a lot of junk adds to cart because people just add things to cart thinking it's free. So make sure you know what I'm talking about. So the add to cart is basically a sign of a potential product, because people adding your product to cart means that they had that thought in their head of buying, or they had that thought in your head of just in their head of just going through your funnel up to the checkout. So that's basically the next step after a link click, right? So the first thing is a link click, the next thing is an add to cart, and then the last thing is a buy, a purchase. So that's why if you get ads to cart, make sure to let the ad run a bit more before deciding if it works or not. Now, if you're getting ads to cart on your ad, it's been running for a few days and still no purchases, try to let it run for a few more days and to see if it's actually getting purchases, because ads to cart is really the first thing that decides if your product is good or not. If you're not getting any ads to cart after a few days, then you can basically understand that the product doesn't really have a lot of potential, unless the product is really expensive, and then you need more data. But I'm taking into consideration that most of you that are doing e-commerce are selling anything between $20 to $50, even $10 to $50. So you should see ads to cart on your ads on your store. Now the CPM. This is a very interesting topic, actually. This is a very interesting metric, and people have underrated CPM and are not looking enough on it, but it's actually extremely, extremely important. Okay, now the CPM is basically how much you're paying for 1,000 impressions. Okay. Now the lower it is, of course, the better. If your CPM is $10, it means it costs you $10 for 1,000 people to see your ad. If your CPM is $1, it means it costs you $1 for 1,000 people to see your ad, right? So it doesn't matter what you optimize for or what campaign objective you choose, except clicks to website and video views if you pick a certain objective. But basically, 99% of the time, you basically pay for impressions. It doesn't matter what you optimize for. You're getting charged on impressions. That's what you're getting charged on. You're not getting charged on how many people buy from you. You're not getting charged on how many people add to cart. You're not getting charged on how many leads you achieved. You're getting charged on the amount of impressions your ad gets seen. Okay, that's why it's important to notice the CPM, because the CPM is the determining factor actually of all your ads. Okay, now I won't say that it's more important than purchase, but it's related. Okay, everything is related to CPM. Let me explain. So for example, when you scale, you want to make sure to look at CPM, because higher CPM means you're paying more for impressions, right? So if you have a $10 ad, and that $10 ad, the CPM on it is $2, okay? Which means you're paying $2 for 1,000 impressions, so 10 divided by 2, that's 5,000 impressions, okay? Simple math. For $10 with a $2 CPM, your ad is being shown 5,000 times. Let's say we increase the ad to $15, right? Which some people do, some people scale in a different way. I'll give you a few more examples as well, but let's say we increase the ad to $15. Now, people will think, okay, I increased it to $15, I'm supposed to get better results. But if your CPM has increased from $2 to $3, then you're basically doing the same thing that you did with the $10 ad. You're still getting your ad seen to 5,000 people. Why is that? Because now you're paying $3 for 1,000 views, for 1,000 impressions, and 15 divided by 3 is 5,000. So you've literally did nothing except spent another $5 on your ad. Okay? That's why it's important to look at the CPM, because these two ads will run exactly the same. Okay, these two ads will actually give you the same results, but one of them is just losing you another unnecessary $5. That's why I think I talked about this with one of my skills, where if you scale very slowly by increasing the budget by 20%, then you have to look at the CPM. If the CPM increased after you increased the budget, then the ad isn't working better. It's literally working the same. Then there's no reason to continue scaling. Now, same thing with scaling high. Like if you have a $10 ad and then you're duplicating that to a $300 ad, now your CPM
will change.
Okay,
The
I'm not
CPM will
saying that your
increase.
CPM needs to be
So
the
a
same.
$10 ad that has a $2 CPM, a $300 ad will never have a $2 CPM. It will have a minimum of 5, maybe even 6.
Okay, maybe even more. I don't even remember. But it basically it increases a lot when you scale high. The purpose of this is to notice, though, and understand that by you spending more money, the CPM increases, you get less impressions, okay? You get the same amount of impressions sometimes by increasing the ad. Now, still it's worth it. Sometimes it's worth it. Now, if you increase from $10 to $15 and the CPM goes from $2 to $3, then it's not worth it, right? Because you're literally spending the same amount of money to reach the same amount of people. You're literally spending more money to reach the same amount of people. But if you go from $10 and you duplicate to a $300 ad and the CPM has tripled, it's still okay, because it's still worth it, right? You're getting still a lot of value for your money, because there's nothing you can actually do. When you're increasing budgets, the CPM will always increase eventually. That's why even when you increase by 20%, if I go from $10 to $12 to $15, the CPM will still increase, but not by a lot. So if for a $10 ad you have $2 CPM, when you increase to $12, it should actually probably stay at $2. But after you reach $20, $30, $40, you're gonna see that it's gonna start to increase slowly. So it might be $2.40, $2.50, okay, maybe even a bit more. But still, it's still efficient, right? Because as long as you're not paying the same amount for the same amount of impressions, then as long as you're not paying more for the same amount of impressions, then we're good. That's why you have to notice this. Okay, make sure that when you scale, that the CPM doesn't explode. So if you go from $10 to $2 CPM and you increase that to $100 and now the CPM is $20, then again you did nothing. Okay, the CPM. So if you're $10, if for $10 you're getting a $2 CPM, which is 5,000 impressions, and you duplicate that to $100 and the CPM is $20, how much impressions are you getting? You're still getting 5,000 impressions, but you're literally spending $100 and you're getting the same results of a $10 ad, right? If that's the case. So make sure to notice that. If the CPM is basically the same as your low budget ad, then don't scale that, right? So if you increased from $10 to $12 to $15 and then eventually the CPM starts to rise significantly, then either stop increasing the budget, or if it decreases a bit, to go back to your regular, to your last budget. Or if you're scaling, make sure to notice that CPM, okay? But in a nutshell, just make sure that when you're scaling, that the CPM doesn't fluctuate too much, and always make sure that you're getting your value for your money. Okay, so that's something you should always keep a lookout for. Now, a lead, a cost per lead, again, really similar to the purchases. If a lead is your objective, so like purchase, your cost per lead will be the determining factor, right? Now, before really jumping to conclusions that your ad is bad, make sure your landing page is optimized, right? So it's not only about having a good ad, right? So if you get a bunch of traffic and your landing page is converting at 5%, then you have some work to do. You can't assume that Facebook ads will solve all your problems. Facebook ads is just the way of you getting traffic. What converts eventually is not the ad, it's the landing page, if you think about it, right? So make sure your landing page is optimized before you jump to conclusions. And last but not least, we got the cost per engagement. Now, here is a something that people keep repeating and keep thinking, that if they have good engagement, it means that their product is good and they'll make a ton of sales. Now let me break your bubble, okay? Good engagement does not mean shit. Okay, good engagement does not mean that people are interested in your product or ad, especially in e-commerce. Okay, especially in e-commerce, engagement doesn't mean anything. Okay, it does not mean that people want to buy your product. It just means that they like your ad. Okay, which is somewhat the first thing that they'll do before they even click your link, but still it doesn't mean anything, and this is not a determining factor at all. We've had hundreds of times where our cost per engagement was literally 0.01 cost per engagement, and the ad has not brought any sales and barely any link clicks. And we had times where our cost per engagement was 0.05 and we had a ton of sales. So don't look at the engagement. It does not tell you too much, okay? Especially now, there is something. If your engagement is above 0.15, then 99% of the time that your ad will not make anything, okay? But other than that, there's nothing I can say about cost per engagement other than it's not a determining factor at all. People that engage are not engaging with the product, they're engaging with the ad. You'll see this a lot with t-shirt designs or mug designs or custom merchandise where they like the design, but they're not really interested in buying a product, right? So if I take a meme from 9gag or I take like a funny picture and I send ads on it, it's gonna get a ton of engagement, right? Because it's a funny picture, people engage with it. But if I sell it as a poster, then people probably won't buy it, even though they're engaging with it a lot. So understand that, okay?